Hey, it's Juan. We're having a socially distanced beer and cheese tasting with our friend Alicia from Mars Community Brewing. She's an expert cheesemonger and is gonna pair 6 beers with 6 cheeses. And what are we having here, Alicia?
Chiriboga Blue.
That tastes so much better from 6 feet away. But this is almost like 15 feet away.
Yeah, it's a lot. You're doing the
It's
most
pretty
right
far.
now.
It's gonna be a little difficult. So maybe I just washed my hands.
I also wash my hands.
I took a bath in sanitizer. We got Gus here with his bow tie. He's been sanitized. Sorry. All right, Gus, don't be an asshole.
All right, so for our first pairing, we are going to do the Cabot cloth-bound cheddar with half-acre daisy cutter.
I already ate the bread. This is from Spoken Bird down the street in Pilsen. They make a good brioche. So this stuff, how many years?
12 to 18 months.
12 to 18 months, holy shit.
Yeah. And like I said, like there's definitely some citrus, some resin in there, and I want to say that comes from being cloth bound and like aged in the cellar. Terpenes for sure. What do you think?
It works. I get the beer pairing and the bitterness. If you drink this alone by the bitterness, this kind of almost like kind of eases that in a way, because it's a little sweet, has the crystals, has a nice salty kind of, I don't want to say farmy yet, but it kind of has a musty, almost like very slight.
KB.
Yeah, there we go.
Almost, so like it's more of like a seesaw situation where they're both like balancing each other
Exactly.
out.
As a novice beer and cheese person, let's say if I want to do this at home, especially during Corona times like now, you wouldn't be able to tell with how beautiful it is outside, but what are we looking for? Like what makes a good pairing? Like how do we know if something's paired well?
For sure.
In your opinion?
If a pairing, I sort of hate that question as well because a pairing is a bad pairing if it sucks. If you get like a metallic or eggy flavor, or if you're just like, oh my God, that was the worst thing I ever had. Besides that, it doesn't really matter. But if you want to get a bit more technical, with beer pairings, we're looking for balance rather than like harmony, which is what you would find in like wine pairings.
Sure.
Because beer lacks a lot of acid. And the only thing, I mean, besides being delicious, beer has bitterness working for it. And let's say like bitterness acts as acid. So we want things that is gonna like cut all the fat in like different cheeses. And then we would also take into account saltiness of either the beer, because people are drinking a lot of gozes now, but also the cheese. You can have something that's as basic as mozzarella that doesn't taste salty at all, but the minute you pair it with beer, it like blows you out. So those are the two things to keep in mind and like what I'm really talking about when I talk about balance.
Cool. What's the next cheese? I want to try the next cheese.
Word, do you mind dumping me out?
Of course.
Thank you.
That sounded weird too.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, if that's like the new way of like breaking up with someone, like, hey, you mind dumping me out?
Yeah, dude.
Dude, man.
She dumped me out.
She dumped me out, bro. Bruh.
This beer is Weiner's Cool Ship Sasha.
Weiner is right down the street from us in the Back of Yards neighborhood of Chicago.
Oh my God.
They make excellent, actually all kinds of beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have a way with
Woo!
sours for sure. Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm stoked. Oh yeah. I don't even
Oh
need
my
cheese
God.
for this. I'll just fucking chug that on my butt.
The
right
raspberry's so,
now. Sorry, go ahead.
the
What you were
raspberry is
saying?
very gentle. So you could do a butt chug with this for sure.
Yeah.
So this is being paired
Wow.
with Nettle Meadows Briar Summit.
So is this like a medium soft or is this like a
I would say this is a semi-soft.
semi-soft? Okay.
Yeah. It definitely has a bit more age on it. You can kind of see there's no real cream line here anymore.
I see. Oh,
Very,
okay.
very ripe. But they can also, like when you're looking at the rind itself, like, oh my God, this looks harder than it is.
Yeah. No, I saw you cut like right into it and you can see how malleable it is.
Do you want me to just do
Yeah,
one of
just
these?
plop it on.
Word.
Just dump me out, bro. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. So I wanted to match the raspberry and
Oh, it like tingles. You could like immediately taste the acidity or like, yeah.
absolutely.
So to me, this is like eating preserves with a good brie. Like, you know,
Absolutely.
when you see like people dump that fucking thing of jelly onto the brie and microwave it
You
and
mean
shit.
when they ruin their brie?
Yeah, you mean when they ruin the cheese and make it totally unhealthy and basically just like cream cheese with fruit.
Yeah,
So you can eat the rind on. You could eat the rind on these, right?
absolutely. So that was another hard one for me at Whole Foods where people like, can I eat the rind? I'm like, yeah, you can eat the rind as long as it's not wax. And they're like, how do I tell it's not wax? I'm like, I don't know how to help you.
You could just maybe touch it.
Yeah,
You
it's
used to
like,
eat candles as a kid
Yeah.
too?
they're like, hell yeah, just get out of here.
Yeah, so
Gus, where the fuck my dog at?
he's right there.
Where? Oh, come here, little fucker.
Cool.
So Gus just likes anything. He's not a picky eater. I've seen him eat lick walls that have urine on it before. So
How do you do that, Gus?
it's like information for them, right? Like it's like text messaging for them when they sniff each other's ass and stuff, right? They're trying to get information. It's like a rookie card, you know, the back of baseball cards. You should read the stats.
So like I
yeah,
said,
let's talk about this oozing, melty, bacteria-looking, filled fucking thing.
you mean a little pudgy babe?
Yeah, is that the nickname for it?
Yes.
Nice.
I like talking up all of my cheeses so they feel very confident when they go into a board.
Holy shit, this is an actual blade. Okay,
Yeah, we give those to customers.
keep this in my side pocket.
So this is L'Ami du Chambertin from Burgundy. Very, very like soupy, mushroomy. You might get like some cauliflower notes in there as well.
Oh.
And this has been washed with brandy. And brandy is an apple-based spirit. So again, I was looking for like
Oh god, I just had a sip of this beer. Sorry to cut you off, but like I just had a sip of this beer. I'm like, the minute you said it was watching brandy, I'm like,
Fuck
okay,
it.
I already know it's gonna be fucking fantastic.
You're done already.
Yeah, I'm done.
So this is Petrus Age Red. This is going to be a Flanders style red ale.
This almost tastes like a dessert wine beer almost. Something you could drink by the fire, you know, like a cognac style almost. Wow, you have to spoon this shit out.
Yes.
Yes. Ready for this, Matt? Mm-hmm. So you could eat this whole thing. You could eat the rind
Yeah,
and
you can
everything.
totally eat the rind. And the rind actually gets its color from bee linens, which like is attracted to beer, wine, cider washes. If you've had chomes before, it's along the same lines.
Oh yeah. I love the smell of cheese. It's like if this was under someone's armpit, I'd be like, fuck no, I hate it. But the fact that it's by itself and isolated and kind of smells like BO, it's like, I don't know why it gets me excited. Oh my god.
There's some bacon in there too.
It's a meatiness, yeah, absolutely. That was a huge dollop I took. I love it.
And the Petrus cuts
Oh.
right through that fat.
Oh, yeah.
That's so
It's
stupid
just
good.
like, just laser fucking cuts through it. Wow.
This is probably the most like French, Belgian, like European thing I have on the board right now.
No, this totally is. I mean, look at it. It's just like straight bacteria.
And it's-
But this is the good kind of bacteria, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess like since we're talking about cheese and to folks that might not know, if like your cut piece of cheese has mold on it, it's cool. Just cut it away.
Yeah.
If it's red mold, throw it out.
Red
besides-
mold.
yeah,
I've
red
never
mold.
seen red mold.
For a reason.
That's
Your
from the
cheesemonger
1800s,
cares
yeah.
about you.
So here's what I'm experiencing with this cheese. So when I do the pairing, so I eat the cheese, let it go, and then immediately follow it, like kind of chase it. I'm almost get like, in a weird fucking way, the combination of this and the Flanders style beer, it creates like a weird coffee aftertaste almost.
Absolutely.
Is that, okay, so I'm not,
You're not crazy at all.
yeah. So there's like no wrong way of pairing. It's just kind of like whatever you feel and but you have to be able to kind of describe why it's happening, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like show your work,
Yeah.
basically. All right, so.
All right. I'm like warmed up. So real quick, tell us like a history of like your professional life, how you got into cheese, you know, kind of like a Alisha cheesemonger for dummies, if you will.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Let's see. So my first kitchen job was actually at Public and Quality Meats, where they, for some reason, let me become a pastry assistant. And like my main job was setting up the cheesecake case. And from there, I worked in a couple of restaurants like Fat Rice, Big Star. I worked at Next for 2 weeks. I don't think you got
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It was wild.
Yeah.
But after Next, I needed a break. So I decided to work at Whole Foods. And I think that's actually where I formally met you. And I worked that cheese counter for about 5 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
And Whole Foods, you kind of had to like, you kind of got to play around and just kind of order and just experiment and taste a lot of cheeses.
Absolutely
and
not.
then how did like the beer pairing, how did that interest come about? Was it wine first, or did it go immediately into beer? It didn't matter.
It went from beer to wine to cider, and Whole Foods is cool in that like you have access to all this really cool cheese, but it's also kind of boring and you don't get a lot of like regional variations. But still, it was cool, like trying stuff out, helping other folks figure out what they wanted, especially people of color, people that don't really have like access to this sort of thing, and being like one of the few people where they're like, you look like me, I'm gonna come up to the counter now. I'm like,
Yeah.
please, let's figure it out together. With like the pandemic happening and everything in like Minneapolis, folks have had more time to really look at what the cheese industry looks like, and it's white. It's raw. Like when I started in the cheese industry, people didn't know what to do with me. Like head wrap, tattoos. Like if I was at a bar, totally fine. They're like, oh my God, you're a funky black girl. But like I would have people that wouldn't make eye contact with me, that would talk to other coworkers over, and they're like, oh my God, like you know what you're talking about. They're like, actually, like she's a Cicerone, she's a CCP, and that fear and like that distaste, like that was really hard for a couple of years. And things have gotten better, but now I'm the black cheesemonger, which sucks and it's untrue. And they're like, oh my God, like you're like the face of this. And like, I'm not. There are
Yeah.
other folks. And I guess like what I would want for like a better cheese world would be more people that look like me, to where there's not the black
Yeah,
cheesemonger.
you're not the token.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like, let's just get rid of that. Again, at the beginning of this, I had so many inquiries from people. I'm like, I want to feature you. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm like, you're just doing it because I'm black, not
Yeah.
because you actually like my work.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be judged. And I think like other mongers in my same position want to be judged.
I thought you were Japanese this whole fucking time.
I'm sorry to break
That's why we featured you. I'm like, let's do some imperialistic shit, right? Let's go kick it old school. I didn't fucking know you were black. This shit's over.
I've known you for years.
This sucks.
Tough to find out on camera. Like
I know.
Yeah.
Just like, this is real
Close.
shock.
Grabs Gus,
Yeah.
slowly backs out of the patio.
Gus, let's say 5 years from now, you think it's gonna get even more, you think you're gonna see more people of color in these positions?
In the last like week or two, there's actually been a lot of panels and group chats about how is the cheese industry queer and how do we silence that history? Like, what can we do to make up for it? Who are the black folks, the like Latinx folks? Like, how can we bring everyone back into the mix and both like reflect like who's actually eating cheese, and also expand those
Yeah.
markets as well? Like again, like I talked about Whole Foods, where I was like literally grabbing people like POC'd and like, please come up, and they're like, I don't know if I can have this, and like, you know, like the world has told you that like this is too good for you, but
Yeah.
I'm here and I have this knowledge, like let me share. Like, you deserve this, I deserve this, like it's all cool.
I think that's kind of anything with specialized, like specialized interests back in like wine producers and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And even beer nerds at the beginning, like, Jesus Christ, you know, you'd be hard set to find African American brewers, you know, beer collectors of that such, of that world, you know, and you know, they've been around forever, you know, since beer was invented, you know. So
Absolutely.
it's like we all drink and eat the same things. So it's weird that there'd be some kind of exclusivity or some kind of like separate subculture and so on that doesn't involve people of color. And you know, I hate to say it, but it's like it's things that are meant to be like upper class or like
Yes.
wealthy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you know, like you said, it's about education, right? It's about kind of being like, hey, don't be afraid. Fuck what these people told you growing up. This is for
Exactly.
everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a cheddar guy or whatever. Just at least try this oozing, rotting, melting thing.
Yeah, and then tell me to my face
yeah.
why you hate it.
And then make your decision. So what's the Robert the Bruce from Three Floyds?
Yes, our friends down in Munster, Indiana. Lots of like biscuit, malt notes on the sweeter side. So this is not something I would normally drink at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
That's why we have bread.
Yeah.
And
Or
I
in the sun.
or in the summer.
Yeah.
Or out in public. Kidding. So we're pairing it with Holler Hawker. There you go.
Holler Hogger?
Holler Hawker.
Holler Hawker. Ooh.
Holla.
Yeah.
This is an Alpine style cheese. It's made in Switzerland. This dude, he started out making Appenzeller and kind of like figured this out to where it's all the best like flavors of Gruyere and like all the Alpine styles together, like you said, like a baby, but with like some bacon,
Oh, see,
spring onion.
fuck, that is like spot on again. At first, this was a little overwhelming, but then I just had another like chunk and like kind of let it mellow out on the palate, and then it just like smoothed it out. It's fucking nuts. Wow.
So fun fact about like Alpine cheeses like this, they can handle bigger beers. You can
Yeah.
do a stout. You can do Scottish ale. Like the bigger the better. I want to say a Helles would go really well, although that's like kind of middle of the road ABV, but it
Sure.
can definitely stand up to smoke.
Yeah. So even like a barrel age
Oh,
beer
absolutely.
would pair well with an Alpine style.
Bourbon County, anything
Yep.
would be amazing.
And this is still semi-soft, or
So it's actually perfectly tempered, so it's like it tastes a little bit or feels a little bit softer. I would say firm, semi-firm, firm. When you look at the actual
Yeah.
wheel, which is about 80 pounds, there's this picture of this smiling, creepy baby that looks like Chucky,
oh, gee, that's not weird.
and they just put it on like posters and stickers. So like you're just like, I'm horrified, but
That's
also
so fucking European though.
it's-
They use iconography like that, and you're just like, why is a fucking baby in a diaper representing an adult cheese? You know what I mean? So odd. Yeah.
yeah, this is
that
phenomenal.
I love it. I'm gonna give some to Gus. I'm gonna
Amazing.
make Gus the snottiest fucking dog. What do you think, Gus? Does it taste like the shit you just had? No? Okay. I'm really excited to get into this slutty fucking cheese next.
Oh, you sound like cheese sex Death.
Yeah.
Love her.
Shout out to Cheese Sex Death.
Love you, girl. Your nails are amazing. Okay.
So this thing, let's talk about its appearance, because it looks like it's about to liquefy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super, super ripe. The rind is definitely peeling away from
Yeah.
the cheese. Like you could just do
What the?
one of those.
Look at that fucking thing. It looks like whipped cream and whipped butter had a baby.
It's a triple cream cow, pasteurized. That's how it made it over. French, and delicious. It's being paired with McKellar's Beer Geek Breakfast, which is a oatmeal stout
Oh my god.
with coffee.
It's like salty butter. Oh my god. Oh yeah.
So again, leaning on bitterness, late in the
Yeah.
beer. This to me tastes like really good chocolate cake.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now that you said it, I'm like, yeah. It's funny that we're going darker, it seems like, as the cheese progresses to get richer and richer, using darker, more bitter beers. And it pairs like, that's a very pleasant aftertaste, because you get a little bit of the coffee. I really do feel like I just ate breakfast.
Yeah.
Like cream cheese and a bagel with my coffee beer.
Absolutely.
It's so fucking good.
So I would even say where you would look to do champagne with this, you can do a darker beer. The bitterness acts like bubbles.
That's sick. With the piquillo pepper too, like that. See that? I would much rather have this with piquillo jam over it
Fair.
than brie and strawberry preserve, like Smuckers and shit. Like that combo to me is like any fucking Super Bowl or
What Super Bowls are you going to?
well, I'm going to the adult kind now, where like these kind of cheeses might be present. Or I would bring this to wreck that shitty brie. That's
Oh.
$6 for a fucking wheel this big.
I love flexing on people via cheese plates.
That's what we would call a cheese snob, which is
Oh,
great. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with it. At least you take accountability for it. All right,
Right.
so we're kind of reaching the last cheese right now.
This is the last
You can see the
cheese.
massacre that occurred on the two cheese boards from the beginning of their beautiful bean footage. Is now, it looked like a fucking small coyote just ran through all this shit.
A rabbit got murdered here.
Yeah, yeah, especially the last cheese, the butter, the salty butter cheese. I almost think that it's just like a stick of butter just kind of melted and shaped into cheese. That's how good that was.
Oh God.
But so what's the last pairing we're getting into here?
So this has to be one of like my top 3 favorite blues in the world. after like Roquefort and then buttermilk blue because I love it.
Yeah.
So Chiriboga from Germany, made by an Ecuadorian man. This tastes like blue cheese ice cream. I know that you're gonna love it because
I've been secretly eating it the whole time.
entire
The
fucking time.
That's why it's not a perfect wedge. I've been eating it like a little child. You know, I notice the beer is like nitro stout. You could tell by the head. You could tell by the creaminess of the head here. Why such a dark, specific
So,
beer?
I feel like folks are a little hesitant to pair with blue, and everyone loves stouts. Everyone loves Guinness and all that biz. Stouts love blue cheese, and especially when you're getting into a sweeter blue like Chiriboga. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
happening,
god,
isn't it?
that is fucking magical right
It's
there.
doing a
Seriously.
s'mores thing right now, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That
The
Let's
bitter-
see, this one is like having one each individually. Like, I would not be able to. You'd never be able to tell by the flavor profiles of each thing for it to pair so well. It's really fucking weird how that works.
It's again bitterness. This works also because like this is a drier beer, and it's bringing out the sweetness in the Chiriboga. But also like there's a weird fruit thing happening in the beer itself too. I don't know if you're getting
Totally.
that, like dark
Yeah.
cherry or something
yeah,
like that.
I'm not even lying to you. I was gonna say dark cherry. That sounds pretentious as fuck. It sounds pretentious as fuck, but this is what's enabling those flavors to come out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is making the Chiriboga a little saltier than I would like than it would be on its own, but that just happens in beer pairings, or beer and cheese pairings rather.
Blue cheese ice cream is a really good description.
Yeah. Like, I want this with pine nuts on it and honey, and for no one to talk to me
Oh my god.
while I eat it.
This is the cheese you would like. You're married to a brie, but you would cheat on that brie with this cheese. It's like that one cheese you just can't resist, you know?
Oh, and then you come home smelling all weird.
You come home smelling like the blue veins, and then all of a sudden the brie's like, I know what you did, motherfucker. I would say this pairing is pretty fucking sexy, honestly. Like, if you present this to me, I'd be like, it's not gonna work. And then it did. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, on a roaring fire drinking cognac by myself crying. That's exactly,
That sounds amazing.
yeah.
I hope to cry with you. That sounds like a great Friday night.
Yeah. Friday, shit, fucking Sunday afternoon, fuck that. For the average consumer, let's say someone that wants to get a little fancier for like a night in with their significant other or some friends, what's like the average prices of some of the cheese and stuff that we're looking at?
So on the lower end, I would say the Cabot cloth bound, which is about, actually no. Cabot was about $23 a pound. And
Honestly, that one little wedge is probably like what, $3?
about $3.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
But
plenty for
also,
us.
yes, for 2 to
Yeah.
3 people that are like doing this, like that's one of the big things when people like go out and buy cheese. It's like you don't need as much as you think you do. Like again, like
Precisely.
support your local cheese shop.
If you're
but-
buying the cheap shit and you're trying to get full on the brie or whatever, don't get me wrong, I like brie, but for sake of using that as an example as the gateway fucking cheese,
like the giant Costco ones.
right, with the fancy plastic on it. But like, yeah, and you saw the small quantity of cheese, the wedge, I'm like full.
Yeah,
And it's like, it's so rich and delicious, you don't really need that much.
absolutely.
I wouldn't be able to eat this whole wedge.
And then also, I don't know if you like noticed, like we did do a progression. I normally wouldn't put a triple cream right next to a blue like that.
Yeah.
But we went pretty much from like loud or most gentle to like the boldest. You start with brie, you end with blue.
Yeah.
Folks will be like, how many cheeses do I need? Like 3. You can do
Yeah.
5.
Oh, absolutely.
You can do 10, but you're not going to remember after about 4. So
Yeah.
try to like rein it in when you're at the counter.
Are you a fan of cheese as a dessert?
Yes.
Okay.
One of my favorite things that folks, it's kind of like the 2000s version of like goat cheese and like beet salad. You cut open a wheel.
Oh my god, I forgot about that combo. Fucking beet salad, roasted red beets, and goat cheese. I fucking totally. Oh yes.
How did you forget about my dinner
I
tonight?
know.
So
I know you had a time machine to 1992. That's awesome.
So cut open a wheel of Cypress Grove Humboldt Fog. Then throw some sugar on that, and then torch it.
Whoa.
You have goat cheese brulee.
was hoping you'd say Cypress Hill, but Cypress Grove is fine too.
I mean, they're a great company.
Yeah.
They're not rappers, unfortunately.
They can be.
If
The
they
year's
try
still
hard
young. It's
enough.
pandemic times. Like, who the fuck knows what people are gonna get into? You know, we all need a side hustle these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Anthony Bourdain, like talked about in his last book about Stilton just being the perfect dessert. That piece
Yeah.
of chocolate, a little bit of brandy, you're done.
Yeah. Oh god, that sounds so good right now too. Do you think there's been like a resurgence with like younger people getting into the the aspects of fine cheese and cheese
Yes.
boards and kind of like getting educated on their cheese knowledge and stuff like that?
Absolutely. So, are young folks getting into it? Yes. I like cheese. Obviously, I was at Whole Foods, but it wasn't until looking at Food and Wine and seeing Lila Spencer, who's around my age, start bringing like her arts background to like cheese boards and being like, oh my god, like I can do the same thing. Like what I saw at Fat Rice, I can replicate. And there are a lot of other like restaurant like orphans that are getting into cheese for the same reason. Like we don't have to be in a hot kitchen. We don't have to be
Right.
abused in the same way, but like yeah, it's happening.
So it's almost its own, like kind of like how there's a saucier and a pastry chef, and it's almost its own category, its
Absolutely.
own section, like the cold station or something.
Absolutely.
At a restaurant. Well, that's awesome. So like, it's so you see it as like a very progressive thing happening right now.
Absolutely.
And sure, it might not be out in the open as like other trends or whatever, but I feel like cheese has its own subculture right now, as you're saying, with like young people and other people getting into it and restaurant orphans. Do you see it like what's like the next evolution of cheese, would you say? Like, is there anything that like people are using that's like, like when ramps are in season, people go fucking apeshit for ramps. Everyone ramp puree, ramp fucking pesto, ramp, hand jobs, or whatever the fuck it is.
Ramp hand jobs.
Yeah, ramp,
so expensive.
ramp jobs. Do you see anything trending with like the ingredients of cheese? Like instead of rennet, do they use like, oh man, I found this fucking, bee fucking taking a shit on this flour, so we scraped it off, and then now it's that acts as a rennet or some shit, Anything like that? Anything crazy or unusual like that?
So I kind of talked about it with the Cabot cloth bound, but terpenes, CBD, marijuana.
Oh, okay.
This all started
course.
out like I went to this amazing convention where I saw someone talk about pairing across like the board with like how dank is your weed, how dank is your beer, how dank is this cheese, and they were doing their own like infused cheese company. Unfortunately, like this was about 5 years ago, like California kind of came down hard on them, but like things are opening back up again. It's gonna happen in Chicago. It's
Sure.
already like I don't know if you had the elevated cow from Caputo, like
No.
so much CBD.
Really?
It was so good. So it's like hitting those like receptors in your brain that
Yeah,
already like
yeah,
release serotonin.
Well, cool. Thank you for meeting with us during the pandemic. You would never. When I hear the word pandemic, I think of like dark clouds and like an eyeball in the sky looking down on us. Like a red eyeball, kind of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I love
Sauron,
Lord of the
yeah.
Rings. I guess we're kind of cheese Frodos that way. Kind of
Yes.
going through an adventure of cheese.
Absolutely. We're both going to quarantine after this anyway.
Oh
so-
yeah, my gout's gonna flare up so bad after this. Is there any like final words you want to say? Anything about cheese or the scene or
Nah.
anything? All right.
I'm good.
Perfect.
I have nothing else to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. That was a great cheese and beer pairing. We're so socially responsible right now. That blue though, am I right? That blue?
You right.
Shit, I got stains on my hand. See you guys later.
That's so stupid.
Mr. Rogers, but with a terrible attitude.